Path of Night is an actual play Vampire the Masquerade podcast set in the world of darkness. We're all friends, we're here to have fun, but our story can include graphic violence, drug use, sexual content, and other mature themes. Content warnings can be found in the show notes. We talk at our table about safety, comfort, and consent, both as players and storytellers. We know what to expect, we're all excited to be here, and we want you to feel the same. So listener discretion is advised. Now let's walk the Path of Night.
Last time, on Path of Night, Neil confronted his sire. Britta and Wynn attempted to interfere, confused to see only Neil talking to himself. In the conflict that followed, Britta was struck with a temporary derangement and a feeding frenzy, while Wynn suffered a massive blow to the psyche. When Neil ran off, Wynn was forced to choose whether she chased him or attempted to prevent Britta from killing or being killed, and chose the latter. Britta and Wynn found Johnny. After a quick feeding, the Coterie begins to realize Wynn's mental loss.
The hell is going on over there?
As you get a little closer, you can actually hear the sounds of, music coming from just outside. Johnny's not super familiar with the genre, but it's definitely some, very aggressive, gangster rap. And the song Rough Riders Anthem can be heard very loudly playing. And walking with a strange gait, not quite the, smooth saunter, confident walk that you would expect happens as this kind of very tall, handsome black man with these nice waves, clean cut. He's not wearing a shirt. He's got these very, very dark, acid washed jeans, these big old Timberland boots. He kind of he looks good. And he's got his gun kind of held up with this Weasley sneer on his face. Just very smug and very happy to make everyone's lives fucking miserable. And as he's kind of walking downstairs, Johnny, as you kind of get to the entrance, these Bruja are kind of dragging this quad he arrived in out of the way and are stopping him and are like, all right, who are you? And with a smile, he says, I am Lord Reese, and I have come to speak with his grace. The Bruja look very confused and will look to Johnny for a bit of guidance on what to do about this man apparently claiming to be Lord Reese.
The possession suit he's chosen.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything supernatural about it?
Not that you can see. It looked like he just kind of picked the healthiest, the most confident person he could find and used them to traverse the city.
Is he still some distance away?
Yeah, he's still at the entrance. He has not been allowed in.
Johnny, do you want me to check his aura for you?
Please.
Britta has this strange expression. It's almost like she's heightening her vision to look at this person claiming to be Lord Reese, and mechanically she is, but she's also sort of playing it up a bit. She really wants Johnny to notice that she's working really hard for him, and that she's gonna put her all into this. And it was weird that he made a mad expression at her earlier, because he should really be very nice to her. Perception plus empathy, difficulty 8. How much is that lowered? By heightening my vision.
By your aspects rating. I do need to spend a point of willpower to not get overwhelmed.
Yep.
As the loud music
I will do so.
Smashes against your eardrums.
Seems fair. It's a good song. Does perception details come into play?
Yes.
2 successes.
Okay. With 2 successes, you can see that there is an aura layered over an aura, and that the dominating aura is kind of very pale.
All right. I mean, it does look like the aura laid on top of that would be a kindred's aura, Johnny.
So Johnny, standing at the top of the steps leading up into the courthouse, looking down at where Reese is, kind of gives a big, dangerous smile. Former Seneschal Reese, to what do I owe the pleasure?
Well, I have an opportunity to help the Camarian as a loyal citizen of the Ivory Tower. It is only polite that I provide what I can.
New Haven's overjoyed at the fact that you're fucking polite. Let's go.
Yes, unfortunately, I do bring with some ill tidings. I had watched the destruction of those anarchs who I'd made some friends with butchered to the very last. My condolences for Amaya's horrific annihilation.
Johnny's gonna make a frenzy chop.
Yep.
I'll spend a point of willpower.
Okay.
It's difficulty 8. With that, I'll have 1 success.
Because of the willpower?
Because of the willpower.
The other Bruja looked pissed. It's a shame I couldn't help her. I would have liked to. We're all in this together after all.
What happened?
Oh, well, as you well know, the followers of Set have a bit of a grudge with the Bruja for their betrayal, or whatever you wish to call it, and, well, as it would seem, the Sabbat made a better offer, and Amaya, being who and what she was the perfect target for their frustrations. It's actually rather sad. Had all of those conflicts not transpired not so long ago, she would actually probably still be here. But let us not dwell on the past.
Reese, you're a very smart man. How would you stop provoking me?
I wish you had only seen my intellect much sooner. But now we're here, and actually I come with an opportunity for your coterie. But my news is for His Grace. Is he available?
He is. Why don't I show you to his chambers?
Sounds delightful.
Johnny will escort Reese into the offices and to where Miles is.
Wynn is still posted up in the chair outside his door. She probably stopped chatting with Miles a while ago, and by now she has her hood pulled up almost over her eyes, jacket wrapped as tightly around herself as she can. One leg kind of kicked up to push against the door frame opposite her.
Britta has followed Johnny down, unwilling to be without him.
As they're walking, Johnny will just kind of casually turn to the side and as he's just making conversation along the walk. So where are you hiding out, Reese? You got your body somewhere safe?
Well, as I'm sure you've noticed, this area is a bit hostile, dangerous.
Absolutely.
So I figured it would in my best interest to assist you through proxy.
I think that is probably in your best interest. You don't need any support where you're hiding, though, do you?
Oh, no, actually, my friend, I'm afraid it's you who needs support. Your companions are all looking distraught.
Well, I wouldn't want to make sure that you get yourself into trouble. We are all in this together, after all, aren't we?
Yes, of course. You're actually going to be quite thankful in just a few moments. Where is that? Why is His Grace... I see. As he arrives to the cell, he just starts laughing when he sees Miles.
Who do I have the displeasure?
John Reese here to see you, Your Grace.
Wynn kind of rolls her eyes up, decides it's not worth the effort, and she doesn't want to deal with this, and goes right back to slumping cross-armed in front of the door.
Was that Duran Key mud magic your friend practices unable to help you?
Not at this time. What do you want, Reese?
I have found something of interest to you. The killing spree.
Britta either had been taking a particular offense to Reese laughing about containment issues, or, again, was making a hurt expression so that it might be seen. But at the mention of the killing spree, her focus narrows in.
What about them?
Well, it would seem that they have something of a vendetta against your friends, for sure. But I found where they are orchestrating this attack from. An opportunity for something of an alpha strike, something that would break this invasion enough for you to regain your balance.
I'm sorry, you think the killing spree is the linchpin that's holding the Sabbat invasion together?
The killing spree is the means through which the freshly minted cardinal of the Sabbat of the East Coast directs this conflict.
And who's the cardinal of the East Coast?
A man by the name of Polonia.
You think Polonia is only holding on to this siege because of the killing spree?
I think that his victory is all but inevitable unless there is a break in his chain of command.
So what's it going to cost?
Nothing.
There's a definite suspicious look at that. So you came all the way out here to tell us about where the killing spree is for no reason of your own.
Well, I'm sure you can imagine that I benefit some from the Sabbat suffering defeat here and now. And you would, of course, owe me once order is restored to the city of New Haven.
Debts do get paid.
So for the time being, I gain nothing.
And what are you up to? Why aren't you here?
Well, my lack of presence has something to do with being largely unwelcome to this point. And then there's the matter of the siege.
So tell me where the killing spree is.
There is a place down by the water. There's an old set of neighborhoods. Wealthier homeowners control it. From these houses, from this beach, this is what gathers and deploys its leaders. I'll give you the address. He kind of turns, looks just completely disgusted with the presence of these Assamites and approaches one of the Toreador who are laying low. And he's like, excuse me, I need your pen and paper. And she looks very confused and opens her pocketbook and kind of gets this like little notepad and a pen that she kind of clicks and hands over. He takes down the address. Will I be handing this off to your seneschal?
You can give that to Johnny.
Johnny takes the address.
Now, there's an unfortunate caveat. They have been moving. This information will only be good for so long. You'll have to use it right away if you are to benefit from it.
How was it that you were able to track them to the spot?
The secrets of the Tremere are both powerful and confounding. It would be a waste to attempt to explain it to you. Know that we are capable.
Wynn makes a jerking off motion with her hand.
What's the time frame we're looking at here? When do you think they're going to be still be there? When do you think they're going to leave?
They tend to spring up somewhere fresh each evening. I'm not sure how it is that they are doing it, though. So most likely you have to the end of the night, just a few hours. I'm sure you can accomplish this.
So that's all, Reese.
What about you? You tend to enjoy having a ghoul suit. And with that, Britta is trying to use empathy villains to get a hint about his next move.
Okay, go ahead and roll perception empathy.
5 successes.
With 5 successes, he says to you, well, I'll be busy. And with that, he starts to kind of just turn and walk away. But you will gather that he is actually probably telling you guys the truth. But if he's telling you guys the truth, it's because for some reason he wants you there and not somewhere else. And he has just indicated to you very casually that he's going to be busy. So he is helping you against an enemy to ensure that you are not present to stop him from whatever it is he intends.
As he kind of walks away, Johnny will just turn it. Reese.
Johnny.
The domain is very grateful for the help that Clan Tremere has given in offering us this information. But this siege is rather delicate and complicated. The scope of it likely to confound even those of Clan Tremere. We will try to deal with the killing spree tonight. If we cannot, I would appreciate if you would return and give us updates on their location. Can I rely on Clan Tremere in continuing to offer their loyalty and support to the Camarilla? And have you return here to continue to give us information about movements of the Sabbat?
I would take your request into consideration, Seneschal.
Well, thank you for understanding that the situation would confound even you. I appreciate all you've done.
Yes, of course. It is most potentially confounding to me. He, laughs and then walks away.
Britta sounds different to you all than she sounds to the crowd. The crowd hears something like, "It's so weird to see him speaking from that mortal." But you guys hear, "I was getting a read on him, and I feel certain that he needs us to go be where he is sending us so that he can go do something else. That he's feeding us this information on purpose because he has business of some kind that he doesn't want us involved in."
That tracks.
I weirdly thought he might be sending us into some sort of trap without it being a trap of his setting.
Again, the crowd hears something different. They hear, "I mean, everything is so dangerous, it's hard to say what's worse to head into." But you guys hear, "He did seem to be fully honest that was real information that he was telling us, but that he's using it to his objective."
Fuck him.
I'm still curious, even if we did go after the killing spree, which, don't get me wrong, I would love to fucking go after the killing spree. But would that even make a difference in terms of the siege?
It might. We know that they, based on the information Neil provided us before, they are some of the people leading the crusade in this area.
I mean, he said that they are still going after us.
Yeah. In due time, we will find the killing spree, but I guess the question is how good of a footing we will have at that point.
And Britta kind of skates her eyes towards Wynn and then looks away. She's trying to not give away where her mind has landed, but her eyes land back on Johnny. What else? We don't know what else they might have done.
If there was anything there provide leverage, Reese would have told us about it.
I mean, he's probably helping we kill each other.
Absolutely. So what the fuck does he actually want?
Us not here.
I told you what he wanted. I don't know why you don't see that.
No. I understand that, but what does he actually want?
Don't the Tremere hate Assamites?
He wanted to go do something else. I don't know what it was. And I don't know why you're being short with me.
Short with you?
Yeah, about the Majesty earlier. And I'm trying to help, and
I'm not dealing with this. And Wynn curls up and turns over in the seat so she's facing the door and not looking at anybody.
Good goddamn, the two of you got whammied, huh?
Yeah, it sucks.
Let's put this together. See what information's coming in. Maybe we can get an idea what's going on.
Johnny looks back and forth between Wynn and Britta, and then kind of turns up to respond to Miles and notices that he's behind a fucking glass window. And kind of just starts rubbing his temples.
Soon as your secretary finds whoever can cure me, we can get this moving.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why don't you check in with them? Maybe check the radios.
He pops a Morley in his mouth and goes to light it. but the fucking lighter is out of fluid. And he sits there furiously snapping at the Zippo. Motherfucker.
Check my bag.
All right.
Wynn pulls her messenger bag off the floor and long-sufferingly, like a put-upon teenager, fumbles through it. She hands him a friggin' Bic, and if he doesn't take it right away, she just kind of tosses it limply at him and turns back over again.
Johnny, who kind of seems to be trying to rapidly assess what the fucking best course of action here and failing, just kind of like barely catches it as the Bic hits him in the chest. Uses that to light his cigarette. All right.
I would check the radios, check with the Assamites, see what information's coming in here before we start making a move, and hopefully either my healing comes or Neil gets back here sometime soon so we can make our next move.
I wish Neil were here. He would listen.
I'm listening to you, but I need you to go do these things currently.
Which one do you want me to do?
Talk to the Toreador, see what they're hearing.
Okay.
Wynn, stay here with Miles.
Fine.
I'll go talk to the Assamites.
Britta, you head to look for the Toreador and see what they might be aware of in terms of what's been going on within the city. When you arrive, a couple of them are in this kind of, it looks like they're sort of just laying in chairs and sleeping, but you're aware that they're probably out watching the city and trying to find signs of trouble. And a group of the other Toreador present are actually gathered around a torpid kindred and are going through her things. And as they take them out, it looks like they're using Spirit's Touch to try to figure out what the hell she is doing in New Haven. And they're keeping her sort of away from the rest of the court. When you enter this room to kind of talk to them and see what's going on, you can pick up hints of this, like, distrust and apprehension with your presence. And once they're, like, really aware of your presence, they seem to cover up the person sort of in an effort to keep you from getting a clear view of who that person is.
Britta scans faces, figuring out the situation, and she chooses to walk closer, looking as if she might move to uncover this person's face.
So how's it going out there? One of them interjects, actually crossing the room to speak with you.
It's not going well, but it's going as well as it can be for what it is. How are all of you?
They look between each other. Concerned.
Anything to do with the person over there?
There's some quiet before anyone responds, and after a pregnant pause, they finally ask, but we have some questions.
Okay.
Wasn't Arabella Rowlands killed? And when a few move out of the way, you see that one of the survivors of the various encounters happening across New Haven is a now torpid Arabella that the Toreador have been trying to figure out the situation surrounding.
Britta does her best to look confused, which shouldn't be hard since she's extremely confused. How did she get here?
She was over on the hill and the only survivor from the fight. When retrieved, some of us who've been in the domain for longer immediately recognized her. So, when your Coterie killed her, what happened?
It's not fully my story to tell. She was meant to be handled as a threat. Machinations of the Camarilla. Things above my head. Was she... I mean, are we certain this is her and not some trick of the Sabbat?
One of them frowns. What do you mean a trick of the Sabbat?
I mean vicissitude.
No, we checked. The items that she's carrying on her, they're all hers.
Britta looks around and considers. Then, in my judgment, this would be something to bring to His Grace's attention immediately, but I do see that you've kept her hidden. Is there a reason for that?
Well, we were told the prince and his coterie killed her. What happened, Britta?
When the Coterie went to Boston, we soon realized that we were caught between Operation Longbow and Gemini, the power struggle between the two cities. It started to get more and more apparent that we might not be allowed to leave, regardless of what happened with Arabella. Britta swallows, considers, looking around the audience, to the evidence in front of her. Arabella was meant to die. To kill her name, to kill any trace of herself, and disappear.
They look pissed. Who gave the orders for that? Was that you? Arabella was involved in the deaths of multiple Toreador. Romeo died during her praxis seizure.
It was not my order, but you can blame me if you like.
If it wasn't your doing, why would we want that?
Because at the time, I considered the options. I thought about the bloodshed that conflict further could make.
Britta, who gave the order?
Look, when I said that you could focus your anger on me, it's because I am partly responsible. Like I said, there was this political conflict then, between Boston, between New Haven, and letting her live was part of how we left Boston. It's part of how we got back here. It's part of how we organized everyone, trying to help people get some chance at surviving all of this. And now we do. Now if we stick together, we do have a chance of making it through. I don't think I could have helped you without that deal. Without her helping me out of Boston.
Then why hide it from us?
This is gonna kinda sound dumb, 'cause I've had a rough night, but I didn't think you guys liked me very much at first. You were supportive, right? And I really appreciated you helping me with the way the art pulls us in and making sure that people didn't touch me, and that meant a lot, but for a while, I felt alone. Actually, it was, a Toreador named Catherine came to help at Boston, from New Haven. I actually look around, is she here? She's not here, but she was sent by Elsa to provide another way out. We needed all the extraction we could get, but that meant a lot to me. But there were small things like, and retroactively, a lot of them were to keep me safe. But not going to, the salons you guys were having, or, sometimes just kind of being the object of gossip, which I get. I don't blame you guys for that. I'm a strange story. I've been lucky to get to know you, but I haven't always known whether or not I can say this kind of thing to you.
Was it Johnny? Miles? Who put you in this position?
Quentin King was going to keep us in Boston, but I know that's not what you mean. If you're looking for who made the deal, I feel that I've been telling you things that I wouldn't tell others, due to the trust of Clan. I would need you to appreciate that this is something that I would want handled with compassion and an open mind. And I get it. I get that she contributed to so much hurt, and I really wanted to get to know Romeo. I really wanted to get to know Romeo, and a bunch of others. But right now, you have the advantage. You have her torpid. You have the war, and frankly, you have every excuse. But you're talking to me, and I take that as a sign that maybe this can be a further conversation.
She turns and looks at the other Toreador and then back at you. I think any discussion will have to wait for after the siege. And they kind of like give each other this resolute look and walk out.
Britta is struck by the sensation of being alone, now more than ever. Something about this conflict had rang true to her situation, but this feels worse. Do they walk out with Arabella?
Nope. They leave her behind there for you to take, do whatever with, but they, leave.
Britta goes to pick up Arabella, hoping to keep her face covered. The same way that you'd carry any body through this place. Which hopefully isn't that soon an echo, but it seems like that's happened a couple times with weathers and everything. And she goes to make her way back to the Coterie. Are you all still centered around Miles's cell?
Wynn is still there.
Johnny, you meet with some of the Assamites that are there. They're kind of just doing very simple patrols right now. But one of them stops, Seneschal. Something on your mind?
I got plenty on my mind right now. Any word about the wider conflict?
It would seem that the conflict in New York has been disrupted. Strange occurrences are happening, and many kindred have met final death.
What about Pendragon himself?
Unknown. He turned on some of the people that he had arrived with.
Turned on them?
Yes. There's chaos within the ranks. From what we're being told, those who arrived to Grand Central have since discovered that there is something underground, something beneath New York.
Johnny kind of hisses at that.
The city has experienced multiple tremors at this point.
And anything locally?
Only that most of the patrols we have set, many of the defenses, have been overrun. We are quickly reaching the point where I hate to say this, Seneschal, but we are reaching the point where we may need to step back and rally.
All right. I'm going to need you to do two things for me. Johnny hands over the address given to him by Reese. There's potentially a gathering of Sabbat leadership at this address. I want you to gather who you can and start to formulate an attack plan at this address. We're not launching it. I just want it ready. While you're doing that, I also want you to start to organize a withdrawal plan. Have both of these plans ready within the hour. Is that doable?
Yes, Seneschal. Understood.
Has any word about Nara or plans to find someone who is talented with the path of Nergal to help fix the prince?
Actually, we believe there may be some who can help here. While we do not possess the path of Durunki ourselves, we carry with us a connection to dragons even across vast distances. And through them, I believe we may be able to help His Grace if it is simply the removal of a disease.
You say it's simply the removal of disease. I've never seen a vampire contract disease like this. If you are confident, I'm willing to trust you.
I'm willing to try.
All right. Lastly, I need a radio, and I need a private space.
We'll provide you one at once.
All
And they
right.
kind of go through like this cache of like just fucking gear and shit that they have collected and have at the ready. And one of them is like this CB radio.
When you've prepared what you need to for the prince, meet our coterie outside his holding cell. But give me a few minutes in here. He takes the radio and heads inside a little private room and closes the door.
The room is mostly just a desk and file cabinets.
Johnny kind of looks out at the buzzing around through the plastic, the shutters that kind of give this room some privacy. Just kind of takes a moment for himself. Lights up another Morley. He goes and sits behind the desk and looks at the CB radio for a little bit before keying in the frequency for the radio gear that he had gifted his daughter and the hunters when he provided them with caches of Camarian equipment.
You reach out and you're just looking to get contact?
Yeah.
It is not long before there is a response.
Hello?
This is Johnny Saxon.
Dad?
Jessica. Are you okay?
No, we need help. There's these guys. They're in like tactical gear. They came chasing after us.
Where are you right now?
Suarez and the werewolf, they're buying time. I'm in a car. I've got her with me.
Her?
Yeah.
Okay.
I
What about Ramirez? What about Sheila?
She makes this kind of choked up sound.
It's been pretty bad.
Okay. Where are you headed, Jessica?
I don't know. But they're coming for her.
These men in tactical gear, are they vampires?
Yes. One of them is this, like, weird gothy cowboy guy.
All right.
There's this... I'm going to try to lay low. Listen, I have to... Maybe you understand this. But we've kept seeing these people. They're like ghosts, but not.
Like ghosts, but not?
But not. And they think I don't see them, but I do. And they've got all of this magic about them. I think they're coming for us.
What do these not ghosts look like?
Men. They just look like men.
All right.
The tactical men. They're taking answers for someone. I was able to see the connection.
Are they working together?
No, I think they're both racing for her.
All right.
But Dad.
Yeah.
Who is Dark Selena?
Johnny's heart, which hasn't beat a mortal beat in over a decade, seems to kind of just leap and pump a single swell of blood through his body in this very uncomfortable moment.
The tactical men. There's the vampire SWAT is working for her. And she's with them.
The cowboy's name's Delgado.
Who is he? Why is he so important?
He is the vampire that turned me into a vampire.
There's this breath you hear her take, and something about her turns to stone. Like there's this almost unspoken tonal shift that comes from your daughter that goes from I'm afraid and want to flee to I'm going to avenge my dad for what he fucking did to us.
Dark Selena is the vampire many steps removed that created our entire line. Sweetie, she is powerful beyond imagining.
I can feel it. We ran, but I could feel her trying to call me to her. And Dad, it's not gonna make sense to you. But the sight, it shields me from the monsters that can control someone's mind and their heart. And I wasn't sure it would hold up against her. She's so strong.
I know. Baby, I can't resist Dark Selena. If she asks me to do anything, I can't stop it.
But Dad, I need you.
I'll be there. Where are you going? Where can I meet you?
I can go anywhere you need. I'm on wheels.
Johnny, kind of thinking through some of his options, realizes that there are no good places to hide from the Sabbat right now, even less from the Black Hand. And once Dark Selena is in the mix, it becomes almost hopeless. The most important thing would be somewhere that you could quickly exit from, decent sight lines, and not completely in a hole where once they get in, there's nowhere to go. So he quickly settles on the idea of Britta's Cafe Haven. Relatively easy to get to, has a rooftop to keep sight lines, and there are plenty of exits from that place, so save being completely surrounded, there's going to be a way to get out of there, which is probably the best he can hope for at the moment. And more importantly, it's not somewhere with a bunch of hungry vampires like the courthouse he's currently in. So he gives her the address to the Cafe Haven.
A cafe?
Yeah, it's one of the members of my coterie. It's the place that she stays. It has some hidden panic rooms in the back. And considering what we're going up against, it might be the best place for you to lay low for a time being, and I can meet you there quickly. How soon can you get there?
I can get there in 20 minutes.
I will see you there in 20 minutes then.
Okay. I love you.
I love you too, Jessica. Stay safe.
You too.
Johnny turns off the radio, or at least keeps it on so that if she needs to, she can reach back out to him, and just kind of clips it onto his belt. And just kind of sits there at the desk with his head kind of hung low. And just takes kind of a few minutes to, like, center himself. Because he feels that if he gets up and starts trying to talk to his coterie or the members of the court, he's probably just going to fall apart. It's just about all he can do to kind of hold himself together right now. After he sits there in silence for about a minute, he puts the cigarette out on the desk and kind of just slaps himself a few times, kind of works himself back up, stands on his feet, and heads out and tries to find where the rest of the coterie is.
As you head back, you see a group of Toreador sort of walk past. They very much kind of sense the anger permeating from you. And they don't say anything to you. They just kind of make their way outside.
Johnny kind of stops for a second. My apologies. I am still the Seneschal. Is there something I can do for you all?
Our respect for your Seneschal. We are just fine for now. Thank you.
All right.
And
He kind of gives them a weird glare.
With a meek expression, they kind of slip out and bail.
Probably when Johnny finds the group, he might come in partway through, a tearful Britta expressing to Miles, "I'm sorry, I think I think I might have failed and lost the support of the Toreador for you," and she's still holding this strange bundle, this strange woman-shaped bundle. Pretty awkwardly. Strength is not Britta's forte, but they're pretty upset, and I think they're leaving, and I'm sorry, I tried, but I ended up being honest, and, well, not fully honest, but I said what I could say, and she lifts whatever had been covering Arabella's face, so that it shows through just the window, just to the group.
Wynn rolls her eyes and gives a sigh.
Well, that makes a lot of fucking sense.
I'm sorry, they had been keeping her a secret, and then they asked me what was going on, so I said, and she does switch into double talk for the most dangerous bits of the conversation, hoping to speak normally most of the time so as not to call attention to it from anyone who might be prying. But then they showed me her and they asked me why she wasn't dead, and they said they were really upset because of, her attempt at praxis had killed so many Toreador, including Romeo, and I think they're very mad, and they wanted me to tell them who gave the order to not kill her, and I didn't, and I thought I was protecting you, but maybe I made it worse because I think they're leaving now. I didn't want you to look like a liar, I didn't want to make it look worse in front of the whole court, and I was trying my best, and...
It is too late now.
Well, if the Toreador are walking out right before a fight, it's like getting into a street fight without your best dancing shoes. Will do.
They've been training pretty hard.
Uh-huh. Look, we got some problems.
No, that's a huge problem. I don't think they're going to be safe out there, and they're so mad at us.
That's their fucking choice.
It makes sense. The Prince of the Somain didn't protect them.
And now they're not protecting themselves. Fuck them.
Tactical assessments from the Assamites have changed the situation. A withdrawal from this point might be the best course of action. I'm having the Assamites drop 2 plans of action. Either a full withdrawal or an assault on the killing spree and potential Sabbat leadership there.
Look, they're really hurt, and I'm supposed to help them, and I don't really get why you guys are acting like it wouldn't be a huge help to have them here.
Because what can we do about it right now, Britta? Fucking nothing? Yeah, it's fucking nothing.
It's too late. They wanted blood, and you tried to give them truth.
Aside from the situation with the Assamites, I found out what Reese wants is.
Safe or...
No. On the move, being chased by the Black Hand and some kind of ghostly men that...
Race or...
I don't know.
What did she say?
She has a kind of second sight. I don't understand it, but it protects her from supernatural compulsions and allows her to see things that would be obfuscated to anyone else. I don't know if they're wraiths. I don't know if they're vampires. Obfuscate, I'm not sure.
Did she tell you what they looked like?
Men. They looked like ghostly men. But they are racing with the Black Hand, so they are presumably not working with the Sabbat.
They looked ghostly, but they for sure weren't ghosts.
I don't know.
Well, what about Neil was... he made a really good example for me for learning the arts of the blood, and I mean, is it like astral projection, maybe? Because we can see Neil sometimes. Why are you laughing at me?
It doesn't matter what it is. They're coming after her.
Well, it does matter because wraiths I can do something about.
What if I could go check on her?
She is heading towards your haven. She said she can be there in 20 minutes.
And astral projection is speed of thought, so...
If you can align yourself with her, I say then fucking do it. I will warn you, she is traveling in a vehicle with the little one. I don't know if you can... Just be mindful of her second sight, that's all.
Okay. Look, I can try it, but this is already a lot, and now my clan hates me, and I've never done this before.
Britta, are you offering help, or do you want me to just fucking stroke your ego? I'm not sure what's going on here. I realize something happened to you from the Malkavians, but I'm not in a mood to be giving coddling behavior to somebody.
You're never in the mood.
And I'm not gonna be, so get used to it. So either nut up, or shut up.
You think you're being brave, but you're not. You're just being mean. And with that, Britta tries to astral project. I have to spend a point of willpower for this. Am I allowed to spend a second dot of willpower?
Yeah, sure.
I will do so. 2 successes.
Okay. Britta's body collapses to the ground.
Johnny reaches out an arm and catches her before she just hits the ground.
Britta sees Johnny catch her body.
It's Britta's first time, doing this in the wild. She's received advice from Neil on how she could get it done, maybe even some thoughts from Elsa in the past. But that seems almost like it moves in slow motion to her as she's getting familiar with this strange feeling.
Between yourself and your body, you sense this kind of silvery gossamer chain. And when you move back, there's no resistance from air. Gravity itself has no effect on you. And you can sort of see the connection between yourself and your body kind of extend and adjust and do whatever it has to do in order to allow yourself and your body to remain connected by some tether.
Britta looks at it, eyes widening a little bit. She knows a little bit of the importance of it. That had been carefully explained to her. She knows she doesn't want that cord severed. She looks to her coterie, already feeling in her altered state with the derangement put upon her, hurt that they're not even really paying attention. But she knows what the next step is, and they might be able to see her too. So she's going to start off at her haven, and though she doesn't exactly know where the others are coming from, she knows that it has to be a car with at least 2 young women in it. So if she starts at her haven and kind of moves to a radius that matches around 20 minutes away, she's hoping she might be able to pick through some locations.
Give me a perception plus investigation roll.
Does the spec for details for perception apply?
Yes.
4 successes.
With 4 successes, there's a couple of cars that are still moving around in New Haven. Much of the city, from up high, now that you're kind of floating up into this heavens and getting this good look at the world around you. One, the light of the red star just washes everything in its color. And down below, you see just how much of the city has been set ablaze and how much of it has collapsed into chaos. And there is smoke and trouble as far as the eye can see. And as this all rages, you notice something unusual, that through the streets, largely unseen by the world around them, but spotted by you, are individuals that are essentially jogging as fast as a car moves. And they're in this kind of tactical gear. They're in all black. They very much remind you of the Black Hand. And on rooftops, kind of leaping, rolling, and maneuvering very quickly, as more of them, and a half dozen in all, leaping long distances and kind of keeping up through those means, but trailing a bit behind, are 2 individuals. One of them you recognize to be Delgado. Another, a woman who he is accompanied by, much smaller than him in stature, but possessing this tremendous presence about her. She very easily leaps an incredible distance, and then just kind of waits, watching with this curious smile on her face as this car drives past her. And it seems like if she really wanted to, she could just leap onto the car, tear the roof off, take the people she wants, and simply be off into the night. But there's something about the hunt that thrills her.
Are she and Delgado in the real world, or are they in my astral realm?
None of them are in the astral plane.
Okay.
Now, this car kind of whips, taking a hard right, and goes through this alley pathway. And these highly trained individuals are actually having a little trouble predicting which way she's going to go and keeping track of her. And for a moment, it actually seems that she loses them as a car pulls up about across the street from your haven. Now, when the car stops, moving through the air, now up in the heavens, not far from yourself, you can see these figures that are watching. They are in robes. They have all manner of arcane symbols on these robes. Some of them are holding literal wands and floating in the astral plane with a like staff of power. You recognize John Reese. They are in the astral plane. And though they had not noticed you at first, John Reese slowly turns and looks your way.
Do I have time to try to hide in mundane astral?
He seems to have noticed you, but what do you look like in the astral plane?
Britta looks somehow more wraithly. Like there's a part of her that sees herself as still the same as Romeo, despite her unlife. Her hair is longer, black in the night, her body even more lithe and sneaky. She's smaller, stealthier, like a beautiful shadow. And though her hands are gloved, a crescent moon is hidden on her palm. But she does wear her own face, despite it all.
Britta, what are you doing here? Observing the battle as well? He kind of starts floating towards you, wanting to make conversation.
I would like to just peace out.
She's gone a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and then a handful of the Assamites you were talking to come banging on the cell door.
Well, we're outside. He's in the cell.
Yes, they go and are banging on the cell door. Central, it is a long shot, but I think we may have something that works.
What's the plan?
I'm going to stab him with this arrow. He takes out an arrow. The toxins, they'll purge his system. Anything that is in him may be forced out.
All right.
Your Grace, I do not know if this will slay you, but if you are strong, this may be the answer you need.
It's best you've got is stabbing me with a poisoned arrow.
Yes.
Oh, come on.
Apologies, Your Grace.
Was
Miles.
that Tim or Miles?
You telling me you're not strong enough?
We're about to go fight.
It's just a little itty bitty arrow.
Yes, go ahead, stab me.
He readies his bow. Central, if you could please open the cell.
Johnny turns to one of the other Assamites. There are 2 mortals that have agreed to provide sustenance. I have them in the room. Bring them here, please. And as he sends them off to go retrieve the mortals, he opens the door for the archer.
Tim, an arrow is fired at you. Are you dodging?
No.
He hits you with 7 successes. I need you to roll soak against 4 levels of aggravated damage. This arrow pierces armor.
4 soak.
Okay. You take no damage. Now I need you to roll a d10 for every single blood trait in your system.
4.
Lose 4 blood.
Done.
Roll soak against 4 ag.
8 successes.
Okay. You bend over and begin to vomit. And it does not feel good. It's coming out of your nose, and it's just this black blood bile that splats onto the ground. And over the course of a few moments, your blood pool is reduced to 0. And you can feel whatever it is kind of just forcing every bad element out of your system. And when you stand up, though you're queasy and don't feel good from all the vomiting, you're not suffering from the Black Plague.
But I've lost all my blood.
You are at 0 blood.
How much blood does the human contain?
Was that?
How much
3. 3.
No.
4 if they're tall. 4
A
if they're tall.
person walks over and you immediately sense that, oh, you can feed on this person. Self-control check, please.
I'm just eating him.
Yeah, no, okay. That's a 0. The Assamites are
Yeah.
they go a little wide-eyed at that.
Can I separate him after he's taken a amount of blood?
What's the amount you're waiting for?
Oh, God. I think realistically, he drinks past 3. Johnny notices that that's a dangerous amount of blood and tries to stop him at 4 after he's taken 4 blood traits.
Okay, why don't you guys give me a grapple roll?
If somebody touches me, I'm using a willpower and activating majesty.
Okay.
Johnny goes to separate, And the waves of majesty cause him to step back, and he kind of looks on in horror as Miles completely drains this person.
Miles, you feel their bones crunch and their body twist as you gorge yourself on their precious blood. And the Assamites that are present, none of them can contend with your majesty, and they look on in shame. And when it's done, you are holding a pale corpse. Miles?
Yeah.
Gain 10 blood.
I will gently lower the corpse down, not in the black puddle, and look around, straighten myself, and look at the Assamites. I thank you for your cure.
Of course, Your Grace. They, lower their heads.
Wynn is just looking at him with a very disappointed look.
You cannot.
I straighten myself, grab both Britta and the one under the sheet, and we go.
All right.
Do you need anything else?
The Assamites have prepared either an assault plan on the Sabbat at the address Reese provided, or a withdrawal plan to fall back to a safe location. I think all things considered, we should enact the fallback plan.
Get the non-combatants out of here.
He turns to the Assamites. Fallback.
It will be done.
He had a friend. Whoever needs his blood, drink it. We go to save the people that we care about.
All right. There's a vehicle waiting for us.
Good.
Should have gear there prepared.
Let's go.
Neil, you come to walking on cobblestone steps, fields of grass, and a building before you that looks like it's largely built in an east and west wing with almost like a smaller center, like a freeway. And the building has no windows, and your eyes kind of dart left to right, and you realize that you're actually on Yale campus, and you're headed to a place that many call the tomb. With your knowledge of the occult, you're aware that this place belongs to the Brotherhood of Death, or more commonly referred to, the Skull and Bones Society. In your right hand is a smaller, more delicate hand that holds yours and walks guided by you toward this destination. You know the scent of her anywhere. It's Nara. In the distance is a cacophony of screams, gunshots, and mayhem. And she is going on and on about something. She refers to what she calls the Nights of Prophecy, and that all have come to fruition. That now begins the end, and that your journey toward oneness is about to begin its next step in some grand design. When the door to the building opens, it is opened by a pair of men who are waiting for you. You recognize them, but you have no memories to remind you of any experiences with them. And from the door comes rolling this sort of red smoke that you recognize to be Khalif. And they look to you and they say, "Sire," and they bow their heads and step aside as you lead Nara into this place that you realize is yours. And up to this point, you have this advantage in that well, it's easy to pretend to be whoever it is they think you are because you're just walking into a building. But when you enter this hall, there's doors and turns and stairs and other people who are all looking toward you. You are confronted by all of these possibilities and do not know which your sire would pursue.
The first thing that enters Neil's mind when he sort of comes to awareness is just after stepping through the threshold into the smoke and the building is to just grab Nara's hand and turn and run. But he doesn't. Whether through some sort of self-preservation, whether or not he thinks that continuing the lie is the only way to stay safe, whether he's just stunned because he doesn't know what's going on, he doesn't know what's happening. Neil often falls back on when he doesn't know what's going on, just trying to find more and more information to figure out a sense of place. And in the back of his mind, somewhere still, is the fact that this place, he spent a long time avoiding Yale. That was the domain of the Tremere. He stayed the hell away from here. And unconsciously, the tomb is less than a mile from the place he got embraced. And this area makes him panic. So instead of running back out, he just continues walking in and stops in the middle of the hallway and using sort of the cover of the smoke, takes a breath in, sort of trying to act like he's just taking in the moment, hoping he could figure out some sort of direction in the seconds he's buying himself.
You pause and look around. You quickly realize that some of those who are observing you realize something is wrong. And one of them steps forward, this very young man, handsome, in a polo shirt and pants, and he's got this like bulge in his right pocket that looks like an oversized cell phone. And he takes it out and says to you, "The performance, sire, is ready to begin. Should we get to places?"
Neil doesn't speak because he's not yet trying to like mimic anyone or whatever. He just nods at the guy. Although probably can't keep all of the like creased brow off of his face when for the second time he's referred to as sire. Because as far as Neil is concerned, he has never embraced anyone. He very deliberately tried not to do that.
He lowers his head in a kind of awkward sort of way where his palms are out and exposed to you. And when he does, others do in the same way. And they go rushing off into one of the nearby rooms. And one of them calls out, "All right, everyone, the play, it's supposed to begin soon." And there's this sudden rush of activity from everyone who hears it. And it's not just physical activity. There's this buzzing that starts to come from all of them. This chorus that is half music, half like electrical feedback. And you realize that these are all Malkavians, and they are yours.
When Neil hears the word play, something kind of triggers in his memory. We heard about somewhere along the lines, and Rob is having difficulty remembering exactly where. 3 fucking evil-ass books.
Indeed.
And one was the Codex.
Yep.
One was like a red book, the Ex Libris Necro. And then the last one was like the yellow sign.
Yes, and those who intended to pursue the ritual of the red sign were looking for it.
Yes.
You actually remember an elder of the Giovanni that was associated with Wynn wanted it. There were some Brea who wanted it. These tomes are always vaguely referenced, but for some reason, the yellow sign, you don't really remember much conversation about it.
I don't remember that. During the week of nightmares, I woke up in New York, and Amaya was getting a book to give to Biltmore from someone who introduced herself as Catherine to me. But that was such a confusing time. Lex, is there any way for me to remember what these fucking books do outside the ritual of the red sign?
Why don't you roll me an intelligence occult roll at difficulty 8?
Okay.
As you dig into knowledge that you yourself may not actually necessarily have.
I'm fully aware, by the way, that I'm just standing in the middle of this hallway holding Nora's hand while I'm just thinking, but one step at a time. Do either of my specs in intelligence, lateral thinking problems, or occult sorcery apply to this?
Your intelligence spec, I think would actually kind of apply.
I'm trying to think around corners here.
Yeah.
The 1 takes away that 10, but leaves me with a single 8. So 1 success.
Okay. With 1 success, according to fictional accounts, the original edition of the Yellow Sign was a chapbook printed in Paris in 1906. A rather unpresuming title page announced the play's name in faded lettering. The play within began somewhat innocuously, featuring the story of the court of a kingdom in a mythical realm. In the midst of a complex narrative of court intrigue, the courtiers await the coming of a messenger, the man in the pallid mask, who either brings redemption or damnation for all. Some say that the outcome really depends on the reader's interpretation. Others insist it depends on the reader's mental state. The play is so complex that the reader may sympathize with only one of the characters, but she sympathizes so thoroughly that the events of the play seem real. The reader is completely consumed by the story, believing that she is her chosen character. According to various accounts, any reader of this play begins to confuse fantasy and reality. A decrepit motel room can become a castle in a foreign land. A dime store tiara can become a crown. More sinister accounts, a reader who completely succumbs to the illusion and believes she also awaits the man in the pallid mask, who may bring redemption or utter annihilation, depending on your point of view. Now, one of the things that Neil knows but never learned is that the book may or may not actually exist. That the book may be a delusion created by the reader. And that this delusion is perhaps being made manifest by those who have the ability to sense and be aware of that which does not yet exist. And it starts to click to you that, for whatever reason, your sire is using, apparently your children, to manifest this concept across the Madness Network. The tether that binds all Malkavians to one another. The silent consciousness that sits in the back of all of your minds, both directing and observing everything you do. But you have a few advantages here going into this situation. You can see the truth behind these metaphors in ways that others may not. The man in the pallid mask is a symptom that brings enlightenment or annihilation. And it was always meant to come. It was fated that one night he would arrive. And unfortunately, that is when your deeply immense understanding of Nodism and Gehenna becomes clear. The man in the pallid mask is you. It is each of the Malkavians who is present here. It is the whisper in the backs of your minds, in the recesses of your hearts. Whereas these kindred who are gathered to serve you recognize the figure that you are going to summon through the play they are preparing to perform, where they know him as simply the man in the pallid mask or what have you. You know him as Malkov. These rooms are filled with an alchemical toxin that is meant to open the mind and allow for covenants to be formed with vast impossible beings from the heavens. With the aid of Nara, your loyal vassal, you have arrived tonight to form your covenant with Malkov.
There is naked understanding and terror on Neil's face. There's no way he can keep that off his face. And his mind is sort of always on the verge of panic and going a mile a minute. And he's just thinking and thinking, like, how do you stop a thought? How do you, I mean, it's that sort of classic example of how do you not think about something once someone has spoken it aloud, made manifest 1,000-fold, a millionfold. How do you stop the collective consciousness from thinking about something? Because thinking about something will make it real. And if it becomes real, it's the end of the fucking world. Even refusing to go through with the play, Neil feels like it won't actually accomplish what he wants. Running, he did not walk here of his own power. It's coming. But he's still thinking and thinking about ways to stop it, to subvert it. This is a war of ideologies with lethal consequences. He does not know what to do. And so he just stands in that hallway, holding Nara's hand, and then becoming, through those thoughts, specifically the phrase loyal vassal that rises up in his mind, he starts to realize that he doesn't even know who Nara is. And instead of a comforting hand, that hand feels decidedly cold and alien. And through all those realizations of those million thoughts that are going through his head, he thinks about all the time that he's been missing, all the times he wasn't quite there, he didn't quite understand what was going on, all the times that he saw his sire when no one else did. He thinks about even just an hour ago, or less or more, who knows, he lost all that time, when Wynn said to him, "I can hear him," back outside the safe haven. And Neil was too panicked by his sire's presence to really realize every Malkavian is connected to every Malkavian. And there are stories about those who die, but their thoughts, their minds, their ideas live on. And Neil starts to realize that all the things he thought he did himself, he never did. That when Renwick said his sire was killed, that it probably wasn't a mistake in Renwick's records. That Neil's sire has been here the entire time. He never left him alone. And he's been bringing everything to here, and the only chance to stop any of this from happening, to mitigate some of the damage, is the fact that Neil is now aware of it. And he wants to cry because he doesn't know what to do. And so he just stands there in the hallway.
You sense something as you contemplate all of these things, as you sink into this despair. You can see it in their eyes, all of them. Even Nara. It's just as you thought it was. They're overrun by this madness, this infectious insanity, this dementation. And you realize that for the first time, you are not swept up in it. Because someone performed this very small, innocuous gesture and shielded you from this. And because of that gift, you are not merely the cog in a machine. You're a player. You have the power to make choices. And Neil knows he is right. There are deep, permanent consequences to any choice he makes. But unlike maybe everyone else here, he has the power to choose.
Lex, as Neil is standing there, sort of frozen with a million thoughts going through his head in the hallway, holding on to this woman that I guess his sire knew and he never really did. Do I get a sense that these people are even really conscious, or are they already getting lost to the play? If I try and talk to any of them, are they just going to hear the lines they're supposed to hear?
That's the problem. It's not that they are lost to this illusion. The illusion's all that's real here. Nothing else really matters. When you speak with them, you would be speaking with someone who actually sees you and sees the world around them in a very, very different way than a sane person might. But they can't really provide you any relevant information without that perspective anyways.
Neil grits his teeth, his tongue running nervously over his fangs for a second, and then before stepping into the room to step into the role of the play. Because you're right, what is coming is inevitable. He looks at Nara and says, "I'm sorry that we didn't get to talk sooner. And maybe I never knew you. Maybe it was all a lie, but for a time it really did mean something to me."
She looks at you, blinking, and she says to you in kind of this soft voice that's filled with pity, "Neil, this is all that is real. Nothing is real. And everything is permitted. The right, the wrong, the fate of the future. All of it is malleable, not necessarily what is to take place, but how you perceive it, how it affects you, and the meaning you derive from it. There is no justice but the justice we make. There is no future but the future we embrace. I know this must be very frightening for you, but haven't you always wanted for purpose? Haven't you always needed meaning and the confirmation that your beliefs meant something? Haven't you wanted to be seen? Come to the stage, Neil," she says, realizing who you really are. "Come to the stage. Partake in the story that was made for you. And be made free."
Neil looks at her for long moments and says, genuinely, if not maybe the way that she's seeing it in her madness. Yes. A lie told is what is real, if that's how we perceive it. And you're right. The only justice, the only purpose, are the justice and purpose that we make. And he takes a big, unnecessary breath and nods at her and goes, let's all take our places on the stage.
She holds her palms out at her sides and bows her head to you just as the others did, and goes to take her place.
There is one last echoing desire in the back of Neil's mind. Not his sire, not his connection to the cobweb, but Neil, that just wants to turn and run. And he puts a hand over his shirt pocket, over his heart, to feel the little crinkle of paper that's in there. And he steps through the door into the theater.
Path of Night is a Vampire the Masquerade podcast set in the world of darkness. Britta Ashcroft the Toreador was played by Rebecca Steigelfest. Johnny Saxon the Bruja was played by Garrett Gabbey. Miles Davenport the Venture was played by Tim Davis. Neil Foster the Malkavian was played by Rob Muirhead. Wynn Cabot the Gangrel was played by Erika Webb. Your storyteller was Lex Lopez. Recording by Rebecca Steigelfest. This episode edited by Rob Muirhead. The music used in this episode was composed for Path of Night by Brian Matolius. Find him online at brianmatolius.com. Path of Night uses the 20th anniversary edition of Vampire the Masquerade with a few limited house rules. Vampire the Masquerade and the World of Darkness are owned by Paradox Interactive. Make sure to subscribe to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. We can be found on YouTube at youtube.com/@pathofnight. You can help support the show on coffee.com/pathofnight. Find us on twitter.com/pathofnightpod, on facebook.com/pathofnightpodcasts, or email us at pathofnightpodcasts@gmail.com. See you next time, kindred.
All right, guys, we'll call it there.
Your humanity, Miles.
That was awesome.
It was.
That was some good-ass vampire right there.
That was some villain shit. I see which path you picked.
I still didn't lie.
You just fucking Roman Pendragon the shit out of this mortal victim.
Fucking go-girded him.
I was a parent. I'm like, I lost all my blood. I am not letting anybody touch me until I finish this fucking bread.
That was awesome.
I am draining this juice box.
Are we good to jump?
Nope.